Maya Jennifer couldn't kill you with her hands. She didn't have a gun. It's not self-defense. It's not stand your ground. We don't even have that law here in South Carolina. That's in Florida. We're not in Florida. You made a bad decision, and it's going to cost you some bad consequences. My granddaughter was not an aggressive person. Whatever happened that night, my granddaughter was baited or aggravated to that point. You can't get a person on anywhere that will tell you Maya Jennifer Simmons was an aggressive.
The music was fading. The night had thinned into that fragile hour between last call and sunrise, when the laughter dies, the parking lot empties, and silence creeps in like fog. It was July 28, 2023, just after 2 in the morning outside the Bloom Room, a North Charleston lounge where the neon lights were still flickering, trying to pretend the night wasn't over. In that stillness, a woman's voice pierced the dark, a sound sharp enough to split the quiet. Then came a gunshot. One. Loud. Final. When officers arrived, headlights bathed the asphalt in cold white. People were crying, scattering, shouting that someone had been shot. Lying on the ground, motionless beneath the harsh glow, was Maya Jennifer Simmons, a 30-year-old mother of 8. A single mother. A woman whose life had been defined by perseverance, now surrounded by chaos and disbelief. Paramedics worked quickly, but the wound was too severe. Within the hour, Maya was gone. Another statistic to some, but to those who loved her, she was everything. As dawn broke over North Charleston, word spread fast. Her family woke to frantic phone calls. Her children, still asleep, didn't know that when they opened their eyes that morning, their mother would never be coming home again. And just hours before that moment, Maya had posted something haunting, a social media message that now felt like an eerie premonition. "Time is short," she'd written, "take more pictures and make more memories, because you never know." No one understood how prophetic those words would become. In the hours that followed, police began piecing together fragments of a night gone wrong, a night that started with laughter and music, but ended in blood and sirens. What unfolded in that parking lot would expose long-buried tensions, a friendship turned fatal, and a chilling story of self-defense, betrayal, and loss. Because the woman accused of pulling the trigger wasn't a stranger. She knew Maya. Before that night at the Bloom Room, Maya Jennifer Simmons's life was far from easy, but she carried herself with a strength that made people believe she could survive anything. She was 30 years old, living in Latson, South Carolina, a mother of 8, though heartbreak had already touched her home when one of her twins passed away. Those close to her said she had a radiant energy, a deep faith, and a smile that somehow pushed through the pain. Her life revolved around her children. Every school morning, every late-night diaper change, every moment of exhaustion, she met it with a mother's determination. Maya was the kind of woman who believed in second chances, in rebuilding after the storm. She had big dreams, even if she didn't always share them aloud. Friends said she was trying to find her footing again, to enjoy small moments, to rediscover herself beyond motherhood. That's what made that summer night feel different. She rarely went out. But this time, she said she just wanted to unwind. The Bloom Room was a place for laughter and release, a small lounge tucked along Dorchester Road, where the lights glowed purple and gold and the bass could be felt in your chest. For a few hours, Maya wasn't just a mother or a caretaker, she was a woman enjoying a rare night out. But in the same crowd that night was someone who knew her not as a stranger, but as something much more complicated, Kaisha Simmons Birch. The connection between them wasn't random. Sources say they'd crossed paths before, possibly through mutual circles. Some reports even suggest there may have been personal friction, but exactly what caused the tension that night remains blurred by conflicting stories. What's clear is that both women ended up in the same parking lot in the early hours of July 28. No one could have predicted how quickly it would all unravel. Witnesses later recalled seeing an argument, voices raised, bodies tense, hands gesturing in the glow of car headlights. Some say Maya tried to walk away. Others claim both women were heated. But seconds later, the sound that changed everything echoed across the lot. A single gunshot. And in that one split second, years of strength, sacrifice, and survival were silenced. What began as a night to unwind had turned into a scene of horror, and by sunrise, the lives of two women, bound by one violent act, were both forever changed. Because before police ever found Maya's body, Kaisha was already on her way to face a decision that would alter her life too. For nearly 2 weeks after the shooting, the city of North Charleston sat on edge. A mother of 8 had been gunned down outside a nightclub, and her family demanded answers. Police combed through witness statements, surveillance footage, and social media trails, trying to untangle what had really happened that night. Maya's death wasn't just another headline, it struck deep. Her loved ones filled the streets with her photos, her name written in marker across handmade signs, "Justice for Maya." Friends spoke to reporters, their voices trembling as they described her kindness, her resilience, and her unwavering love for her children. The story captured local attention, a mother taken too soon, and an investigation clouded with pain, confusion, and silence. Then, on August 11, 2023, the silence finally broke. A 39-year-old woman walked through the doors of the North Charleston Police Department. Her name was Kaisha Simmons Birch. She wasn't dragged in. She wasn't found hiding. She turned herself in. When officers escorted her into booking, the air shifted. The woman accused of shooting Maya claimed the act wasn't murder, it was self-defense. She said she hadn't meant for anyone to die that night, that she was protecting herself when the gun went off. But behind those statements was a young mother gone forever, and 8 children left without their mother's voice. Police charged Kaisha with manslaughter and possession of a weapon during the commission of a violent crime. The courtroom filled as she made her first appearance, faces from both sides staring across the aisle, grief and disbelief mirrored in their eyes. At her bond hearing, Kaisha stood before the judge, quiet and composed. Her attorney spoke first, arguing that she wasn't a danger to anyone, that she had cooperated with authorities, that she was no flight risk. The defense painted her as a woman caught in a terrible moment, not a killer, but someone who made a fatal decision in fear. After careful consideration, the judge set bond at $200,000 and ordered her under house arrest while the case moved forward. Outside the courthouse, Maya's family could barely process it. To them, no defense could justify what had happened. They had lost everything, and the system felt too slow to give them peace. Meanwhile, Kaisha returned home, confined not by prison bars but by the weight of what she had done. The law would take its time, but public opinion had already made its judgment. Social media lit up with speculation, outrage, and debate. Was it truly self-defense? Or something far darker, resentment, jealousy, or rage that had finally erupted in violence? The truth was buried somewhere between those two stories. But as months passed, one thing became painfully clear: no court decision could bring Maya back. And as the case wound its way through the justice system, Maya's family was left to carry the memories, and the questions that wouldn't stop echoing in their minds. Because every time they looked at her children, they saw not just their mother's face, but the silence left behind.
The Birch's attorney says she and Simmons got in a fight outside of the Bloom Room. Now, he said Birch was about to leave in her car when Simmons charged at her. That's when Birch shot and killed Simmons. Birch is charged with manslaughter and possession of a deadly weapon during the commission of a violent crime, and today a judge gave her a surety bond. After the hearing, I talked with Jennifer Ferguson, Simmons' grandmother, who says Birch's story can't be true. Birch was placed under house arrest. According to Birch's attorney, she has a concealed carry permit, and she knew Simmons' fiancé, who was also at the club that night, had a gun. Birch used to date Simmons' fiancé. Now, the judge says Birch is not allowed to use social media or contact anyone in Simmons.
In the weeks following Kaisha Birch's arrest, North Charleston seemed to hold its breath. The bright summer days felt heavier, quieter. Maya's friends replayed her final hours again and again, hoping to find some clue that explained the unthinkable. Her family clung to faith, to one another, and to the hope that justice would bring closure. But the truth was, closure rarely comes easily in cases like this. As investigators dug deeper, details trickled out slowly, frustratingly incomplete. Police confirmed there had been a confrontation in the parking lot that night, but the cause of that argument, what words were said, and what exactly led to the fatal gunshot, remained unclear. The only certainty was that one woman was dead and another was now facing the weight of the law. The prosecution moved forward on a manslaughter charge, not murder, a distinction that carried emotional weight for Maya's family. Manslaughter suggested the death wasn't premeditated, that it may have been spontaneous or reckless. But for the people who had buried Maya, that difference didn't ease their pain. To them, a mother was gone. Her children would grow up with memories instead of moments, pictures instead of presents. Kaisha maintained her claim of self-defense. Her lawyer argued she had been provoked, that fear had clouded her judgment. He insisted that in the chaos of that night, she reacted, not out of malice, but out of panic. It was a claim the law would have to test, but every delay, every postponed hearing, every court filing only stretched the wound further. Months turned into years. As of now, court documents show no final verdict, no conviction, no closure. The case remains tangled in the slow machinery of justice, where truth often becomes a casualty of time. For Maya's family, that silence is its own kind of cruelty. They wait, for answers, for accountability, for the moment they can finally say her name without choking on grief. But that moment hasn't come yet. In interviews, her loved ones describe her as a light, a woman who believed in the power of prayer and the importance of memories. The irony of her final post, that haunting message about time being short, still chills them. Some believe she felt something that night, a warning, a whisper from fate she couldn't escape. Every anniversary since, candles have been lit in her name. Friends gather, wearing shirts with her photo, holding signs that read, "Justice for Maya." Each vigil is both a plea and a promise, that her story won't fade, even if the system moves slowly. Because when justice drags, memory becomes the only weapon the living have left. And for Maya Jennifer Simmons, her memory refuses to die. In the quiet after the chaos, what remained of Maya's world were her children. 8 in total. 8 little lives that once orbited their mother's strength like planets around a sun that suddenly went dark. The oldest, barely a teenager, understood enough to know what had been taken. The youngest, still a baby, would grow up knowing her mother only through photographs and the soft stories whispered by relatives trying to keep her memory alive. The home that had once pulsed with the rhythm of Maya's laughter and bedtime routines was now filled with echoes, toys left where she last placed them, a folded blanket on the couch, voicemail messages that no one could bear to delete. Family members stepped in as best they could. Grandparents, siblings, friends, all trying to fill a void that could never truly be filled. They organized fundraisers, shared her story, and fought to keep her name in the public eye. To them, justice wasn't just about the courtroom. It was about ensuring that Maya's children would never be forgotten in the shadow of the case. For the children, grief came in waves, confusing, unpredictable, cruel. Birthdays passed without her. Holidays became a mixture of joy and guilt. Every milestone, the first day of school, the first lost tooth, the first heartbreak, felt like a reminder that she should have been there. In the eyes of her family, Maya wasn't a headline. She was a mother who prayed before every meal, who danced in the kitchen with her kids, who found strength in moments that would have broken others. The world might remember her for the way her life ended, but her children would remember her for the way she loved. Meanwhile, Kaisha Simmons Birch's world had shrunk to the walls of her home. Confined under house arrest, her freedom was a fragile illusion. Outside, the community she once knew now looked at her with judgment and fear. Her name had become synonymous with tragedy, a woman who claimed she didn't mean to kill, but did. 2 women. One dead, one trapped in the shadow of her own actions. Both bound forever by a single shot. In the stillness of those long nights, as Maya's children slept and Kaisha sat waiting for her fate, the question that haunted everyone was simple: why? Why did it have to come to this? What spark turned words into a weapon, fear into fatality? No answer ever feels like enough. Because the truth is, some losses don't end with justice. They echo, in the empty chairs, the quiet birthdays, and the dreams of a family learning to live without the heartbeat that once held them together. Time has a strange way of stretching after a tragedy. For Maya's family, days became weeks, weeks became years, all measured not by holidays or birthdays, but by court dates and unanswered questions. The justice system moved slowly, as it always does. Each time Maya's name appeared on a docket, hope flickered. Maybe this would be the day they finally heard the truth. But hearings were postponed, evidence reviewed, motions filed. And through it all, Kaisha Birch remained at home, bound by law but free enough to breathe the air Maya never would again. The case, filed as State of South Carolina versus Kaisha Simmons Birch, stood as a grim reminder of how justice can sometimes stall between paperwork and pain. Prosecutors maintained the charge of manslaughter, arguing that Maya's death was no accident, that Kaisha's decision to pull the trigger ended a life and shattered 8 others. The defense continued to press self-defense, claiming fear, confusion, and reaction rather than intent. But behind those legal arguments were 2 very human stories, one silenced forever, and one desperately trying to explain the unexplainable. For Maya's family, the lack of resolution became its own kind of torment. How do you grieve when the story refuses to end? How do you find peace when the person responsible still hasn't faced the final weight of accountability? Every headline that faded, every update that never came, felt like the world moving on while they were still standing at the scene of the crime. Her mother once said that Maya's spirit was too bright for this world, that maybe that's why God called her home early. But faith, no matter how strong, doesn't quiet the sound of a child asking, "Why did they hurt my mommy?" Meanwhile, whispers spread through the community. Some said Kaisha showed remorse. Others said she didn't. Some claimed it was a confrontation gone wrong. Others believed there was more to the story, something deeper, something personal. But until the court reached its conclusion, all that remained was speculation. The trial hasn't been publicly reported as concluded. The outcome, as of now, remains unwritten. For some, that's unbearable. For others, it's just another cruel truth, that justice doesn't move at the same speed as grief. And yet, even in the absence of closure, one fact remains unshakable: a woman who loved fiercely, who lived for her children, is gone. Her laughter will never fill her home again. Her children will never hear her voice calling them in from play. In the end, justice feels like a promise still waiting to be kept. And until that promise is fulfilled, the story of Maya Jennifer Simmons remains suspended, caught between tragedy and truth. There's a moment after loss when silence becomes its own kind of sound. For Maya Jennifer Simmons's family, that silence lingers, in the soft hum of an empty house, in the quiet spaces her laughter used to fill. Her story didn't end in the parking lot of the Bloom Room. It lives on, in every photo her children cling to, in every prayer whispered at night, and in every person who refuses to let her name fade into the background of another unsolved tragedy. The truth of what happened that night remains tangled between 2 versions of events. One woman dead. Another woman claiming she had no choice. The courts still hold the key to the official ending, but in the hearts of those who knew Maya, the verdict was written the moment that gun fired. She was a mother. A daughter. A sister. A friend. And she didn't deserve to die that way. Justice, when it comes, will never feel like enough. It can't rewrite the story or undo the pain. But it can remind the world that Maya's life mattered, that her dreams, her faith, her love, still ripple outward. Because when someone like Maya is taken, their story doesn't just vanish. It becomes a warning, a mirror, a whisper that asks us to look closer at the fragile line between anger and regret, between fear and fatality. The Bloom Room has long since gone quiet. The lights are off, the music stopped, the laughter faded. But somewhere in the distance, a child still asks about the mother who never came home. And somewhere else, a family prays that the system won't forget her name. Maybe that's what justice really is, not just punishment, but remembrance. The promise that even when the world moves on, some stories will keep echoing. Because every whisper tells a story, and this one belongs to Maya Jennifer Simmons. If you were moved by Maya's story, help keep her memory alive. Like this video, share her story, and subscribe to Fatal Whispers. Turn on notifications so you never miss the next voice that deserves to be heard. Because sometimes, justice starts with remembering. And every whisper tells a story.